morning. This week we are going to start looking at chapter 16, and we'll be skipping around chapter 16 a little bit between the next 3 weeks, so make sure that you're paying attention to what section it is that we're working on. But we are going to discuss the basic ideas behind homeostasis, digestion, and looking at the musculoskeletal systems this week. So when we talk about homeostasis, we're talking about this idea that our bodies want to maintain a very stable internal development or environment. And it does this by reacting to changes that occur in the external environment. So for instance, the best example of homeostasis in the body is maintaining our body temperature. Ideally, we want to have a body temperature at 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So when something happens that causes our body temperature to either rise above or below what the body determines as a normal range, then what happens is, so in this example, if the body temperature gets too high, then the nerve cells in the skin and the brain are going to be activated. That's going to tell temperature regulatory centers in the brain to start telling our bodies to start sweating. So it will stimulate our sweat glands. And as we sweat, that air hits our sweat, it evaporates off of our skin, and it cools our body temperature back down. So this is an example of negative feedback because something happens that causes a change in one direction, and then the body is going to respond to bring that change back down to in the opposite direction. There are also examples of positive feedback in the body where a change occurs and the body will actually accelerate that change. The best example of that is during childbirth. So during childbirth and during labor, contractions occur, and that actually triggers the body to cause more contractions to occur in order to get that baby out. Most of the examples of feedback in our body are negative feedback, meaning that the response is going to move the change in the opposite direction. We will talk about body temperature maintenance and water and salt maintenance as examples this week of homeostasis and feedback. Then you are going to look at the section on digestion. So we eat food every single day. This is an important part of our ability to survive. But how does our body actually break down the food and get the things from the food that our cells need in order to make energy? The ultimate goal of eating is to make energy, specifically to break food down into carbohydrates, fats, and lipids to provide our cells the things that they need to function and allow our entire systems to function. So you will look at all of the different digestive organs this week, what's happening during all of those, what's happening in those organs to the food that we're eating, what's being digested, carbohydrates, proteins, or fats, and working our way all the way through until you're eliminating things out via feces. And then finally, you're going to look at the skeletal muscular system. And please know that we're looking at these systems very, very briefly. But, how do our muscles work? What is the purpose? What are the 3 types of muscles that we have in our body? Smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, and cardiac muscle. And then bones. What's the purpose of bones? They provide levers for movement. They work together, obviously, with the muscle system to allow us to move. But they also have some other important roles like protection, and they actually make our red blood cells. So you will be looking at those 2 systems kind of as a whole and looking at the functions and structures of the different joints that we have that connect our bones together. So going to Blackboard here, you're going to be reading section 16.1, 16.2, and 16.5 this week. You have the usual guided notes, videos, content practice, and then a Let's Talk, which is a flip grid where you're going to choose a vitamin or a mineral to research and share out. Don't forget to respond to another student's post as well, and then you have your exam. There is no activity for this week. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Otherwise, have a fantastic week.